One of the destructions that we see today that you talk about and document very powerfully, as you document so many other things, just what's happened to the depiction of men and to men. And we definitely see a war on men. All you have to do is turn the TV on, any TV series, any movie. It's actually beyond creepy. It's always, there's always this male, excuse me, there's always this masculine female boss now. And then there's just some kind of effeminate guy that's her servant or something running errands for her. This is in every film now. And there's all these men, they're all klutzes and they're all bumping into each other, and the women are just shaking their heads. And where would men be without women? They're pressing this very hard, as we know. The days of Chuck Norris and Sylvester Stallone and Steven Seagal are all gone. It's just all these effeminate men weaving sweaters or knitting sweaters or something. It's creepy, and but we think about it in a divine, in the spiritual battle. And I was thinking, our Father who art in heaven, our Father, our God, our Lord, he has a masculine, yes, we can get into that. I understand that this is a whole theological debate, that there are also feminine, quote unquote, attributes to the heavenly God. But overall, God is our Father, masculine. And somewhere, really, this is actually a demonic rebellion against our Father in heaven, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think if you really look at the way that certainly in Genesis and the way that God has set up on the earth, the order in which things are cared for. You see, God is the head. God is that it's through him that we have a happy life. Then he gives Adam his authority, and then from there is the helpmate Eve, and through that's where they are fruitful. But you can also see sort of this service from largest down to smallest, because it's through their love that they have a child, and it's almost like Russian dolls. But the effort is to really protect that which is smallest and vulnerable. And women are obviously vulnerable in a way that men aren't. Men are made to protect, provide, and propagate. And that order has been completely inverted by feminism. Certainly that idea of Genesis 3, the inversion of Genesis 3, where you've got the serpent talking to Eve, and then Eve is in charge of Adam, and then God's nowhere in the picture. So it's really interesting to start looking at it from that much more biblical, theological, historical perspective, what has happened. And you can see just the importance of a woman being open to the authority that her husband has. And I don't mean that, the hard thing is to talk about this is because the left is also not only controlled their message, but they've controlled what they project what our message should be, which is sort of the Handmaid's Tale. If you aren't on the left, or you're not, a part of this narrative, then you're going to end up becoming part of a fertility cult or something. So it's very hard to talk about it in terms that people don't already have sort of these fixed categories. But I guess that's really where the challenge is for women to start understanding, well, what happens when I actually really respect my husband, and I don't think that he's an idiot and he can't do anything without me, which is, exactly what the portrayal is on TV that you were outlining previously. So I think it's really incredible to start listening to men. I've spent a lot of time. In fact, it's been really wonderful to see how many men have really taken to this book, because I'm not beating men up in it. I think you've taken the blame for everything for 50 years. There can be some books that don't blame you for everything. And I think they appreciate that. And it's really beautiful to see the gifts that men have, when they know that they can use them, and when they also feel that the confidence that their wife has in them, how much further a couple can go. And I know in my own marriage that's been an incredible gift that my husband and I give to each other, in terms of just trusting each other as order in the way that God designed it, instead of feeling like we are constantly at this loggerheads and battle for power in our family.